A new report published by Human Rights Watch says child soldiers are being recruited by the Burmese junta. This video footage has been released by the organisation, which they say shows child soldiers in Burma. The children, some as young as 10, are reportedly being forced into military service to replace increasing numbers of adult deserters. According to Human Rights Watch, children are targeted at bus and train stations and forced to sign up through incentives and threats.
We found that they were recruiting in some new units as many as 50% of their new recruits were children. Some of the kids that they recruited are as young as 10. Some of them are barely over 4 feet tall, at 1.3 meters. And they're put into very hazardous environments. They are working in combat, although not much in the front lines, but supporting combat units, sometimes being involved in violence and actual firefights, but in most cases acting as porters and support units in very hazardous terrain, malaria-infested regions, landmine-infested areas, and just imagine what the psychological consequences are for children to be involved in armed combat at age 10, 11, 12, 13.
The report, called Sold to be Soldiers, describes how recruiters are offered cash incentives for every new recruit, even if they're clearly underage. Young boys are targeted in public areas and often threatened with arrest if they refuse to join the army. The report says some of the children are beaten until they agree to volunteer.
The problem with child soldiers is one of the most egregious human rights abuses committed by this regime, but it's part of a pattern. It's emblematic of exactly how they view their own people, which is with contempt and to be used as commodities. They have shown over and over again that they're willing to burn the country down to stay in power, and they don't really care who pays the price. And in this case, it's children who are paying the price. And so one of the reasons we want to highlight this, because we could highlight a lot of problems in Burma, is that sometimes people only understand the gravity of a country's situation when they see how the most vulnerable people in the country are treated. In this case, that's children.
Mr. Adams explained how all the adult soldiers they had interviewed in Burma reported the presence of children in their training units. He says child soldiers are typically given 18 months training and often sent out into battle within days of being deployed. In the next few weeks, the United Nations Security Council will be focusing on violations of child rights in Burma.
Britain should be at the forefront of very specific sanctions. In the first place, we have long called for, but renewed our call for, the Security Council to implement sanctions on all military assistance and aid and trade to Burma. But there also are very targeted sanctions. The military is basically in the business of making money. They want power and they want money, but money is what sustains their power. And there are targeted banking and financial sanctions that can be put into place at the EU level, and we would like Britain to be pushing very hard for those.
Human Rights Watch is an international lobby group advocating the protection of human rights around the world.